What's up everybody on YouTube? AJ Rest about to discuss another video, and today we're going to be talking about why this 2023 NFL season is going to be special unlike any other. Alright guys, so before I get into this video, I want to say I apologize for the brief couple of weeks hiatus that I have had a lot going on in terms of school, things like that. Also just turned 21, so yes sir, that's a blessing for sure, thanking God for that. But we're back on the grind, back posting 2 videos per week, and yeah, I want to talk about this NFL season because it's been a minute since I dropped a football video for sure. From all the teams in the AFC and then going into the NFC as well, we have a lot to talk about. Numerous contract extensions, a lot of things to talk about in terms of the running back market and the limitations there. So before I get into the video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Have a lot of videos on the way. I post videos about sports, lifestyle, and pop culture. So yeah, with that being said, let's get into this NFL video. So there's not really going to be too much of a structure in this. I just want to talk about different teams and different contract extensions and stuff like that. Let's start in the AFC right now. Of course, the newest big contract starts with Justin Herbert. Him and the Los Angeles Chargers reached a 5-year, $262.5 million extension, which we knew was inevitable at this point in terms of that 2020 draft class. Jalen Hurts got his money. Even Lamar Jackson a few months ago, he got his bag. Soon, we know that Joe Burrow is going to be poised for an extension as well. So this was really inevitable. Justin Herbert and the Chargers, they obviously lost in the first round, disappointingly, to the Jacksonville Jaguars after blowing a 27-0 lead. Now they have a new direction in terms of offensive coordinator. Former Dallas Cowboys offensive coordinator Kellen Moore is now going to be on the sideline with Justin Herbert. So certainly that'll help with them in terms of schemes, in terms of offensive points per game, and things of that nature. The Chargers were also able to re-sign Austin Eckler, and that's another running back that we have to talk about in terms of this running back market being limited. Of course, Saquon Barkley spoke about it, Nick Chubb, a lot of things like that going on in terms of the wear and tear of the running back position, and in terms of them not being able to ultimately reach that second contract, in particular with these first round running backs, because someone like a Derrick Henry been able to dominate the position for over 7 years now after being drafted in the 2016 season. He's only been able to make up a total of $45 million in his career so far, and he is for sure, I would say, generally the best running back in the league in his tenure with the Tennessee Titans. So there'll be things to talk about there, but swinging things back to Justin Herbert in those types of conversations, it's going to be a really good year in terms of the Chargers. They are in a tough AFC West division. Of course, you have the reigning Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, with Patrick Mahomes, who is by far the best quarterback and best player in the league. Then I would say a wild card for this upcoming season is the Denver Broncos for sure. Russell Wilson definitely had his worst season last year in 2022, but they do now have Sean Payton as a head coach, who is for sure one of the best coaches that we've seen in the era of coaches. Of course, how he was able to help Drew Brees and lead the New Orleans Saints to their lone championship in 2009. So maybe him and Russell Wilson be able to build up some rapport. So there'll be some for sure competition in the AFC West, but not only in the AFC West, the AFC in general. We now have Aaron Rodgers in the AFC with the New York Jets, when he also little extension with the New York Jets, so he'll probably be playing 2 years in 2023 this year and also 2024. That'll be an interesting team. The Baltimore Ravens, not to mention them, Lamar Jackson with his new contract like I mentioned earlier. Then you have in that same division, the AFC North, Bengals with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, so many different names there. And then the team like the Cleveland Browns as well, which will really be a wild card, not in terms of where they'll finish in the season, which they ultimately could be a wild card, but ironically speaking, they're going to be really good. I feel like Deshaun Watson, he'll have a full year, be able to play. He's been able to build chemistry in the offseason with his Cleveland Brown teammates. He's going to be able to connect with people, like I said earlier, Nick Chubb, a player, a wide receiver like Amari Cooper. That defense is great, of course, with Myles Garrett always. So that's another team there. And then there's multiple teams to talk about still. You have the Miami Dolphins with Tua Tagovailoa. As long as he can stay healthy, there's going to be really interesting. On their defensive end, they also have Jalen Ramsey as well. The Dolphins, of course, already have 4-time Pro Bowler Xavier Howard as a defensive back. So that's going to build a dangerous cornerback duo with Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard. And then you have Tyreek Hill on the offensive end too. Jalen Waddle, of course, on the offensive end. So the Dolphins could be really good as long as Tua Tagovailoa stays healthy. And they did make the playoffs last year, so we'll see there. And of course, in that same division, you have the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. So you can never count them out. I personally think that they'll still win that division, but there's things to be said there with the Jets in the same division as well. So that's going to be really competitive there also. And then even with the AFC South, you have the Jacksonville Jaguars, who won a division last year, but now you have the Tennessee Titans with DeAndre Hopkins in the mix too. That's very interesting. I was thinking that the Titans were going to be headed towards a rebuild, but now them having them, and of course they drafted Malik Willis last year, and Will Levis this year, so it was looking like they were shaping up for the future. But they still have, of course, Ryan Tannehill, who's a good game manager, and he can make plays in different instances. So it's going to look like he's going to start this year after being injured last season. And then, of course, they still have Derrick Henry, like I mentioned earlier. We'll see if he's able to continue to dominate, because we do know those talks about that running back position. And DeAndre Hopkins is going to be really solid. We will see for them. Of course, things didn't work out with them with Julio Jones a couple of seasons ago. So yeah, I mean, it's just a lot to say there, man. If anything, if I could sum up the AFC just in general for this upcoming year in 2023, it's just stacked. And it's going to be interesting to see what teams don't make the playoffs, and as a result, what ramifications or consequences will be led to those type of teams. I didn't mention the New England Patriots. Of course, they have Bill Belichick and Mac Jones. He kind of regressed in his second season last year. We'll see where things go in his third year, but I just don't know. Like, teams like that, they're still going to be competitive because Bill Belichick always gets the best out of his players and his defensive. So, man, it's just going to be compelling to see what happens this year. The AFC is crazy, but if you move on to the NFC, I definitely wouldn't say things are trash, but there is for sure a noticeable drop off. NFC, you can easily say that the Eagles, or not easily say, but you can probably say that the Eagles are the best team in the conference. Of course, after making the Super Bowl last year and winning the NFC last year over the San Francisco 49ers. And the 49ers are going to be very interesting. Brock Purdy, he's been cleared for training camp. So that's going to be an interesting quarterback battle between him, Sam Darnold, and of course, their draft pick in 2021, Trey Lance, who they traded up for as well. So that's going to be interesting. And I feel like Trey Lance hasn't had truly a fair shot to be able to show what he can do. Yes, he played a couple of games, but he was injured and he ended up missing the entirety of last season, so we can't really judge him off of that, you know what I'm saying? So then going from there, you also have teams like the Dallas Cowboys who continue to make moves and things like that. They always make a lot of moves going into the season. They build up a lot of hype. We've seen this roller coaster many years before, and they've made a lot of moves, a lot of good moves, I would say. Trading for Stephon Gilmore, that's going to help build up that defense and be able to build one of the best cornerback duos in the league with him and Trayvon Diggs. And speaking of Trayvon Diggs, he signed a new contract extension being signed with the Dallas Cowboys until 2028, so that's really interesting there. They also have a frustrated offensive lineman who also recently reached a 99 Madden rating, of the first offensive lineman to do so from the Dallas Cowboys since 2003, and Zach Martin, who's easily been one of the best offensive linemen in the league throughout his 9 seasons in the league. So potentially they'll be able to figure something out with him, because you have to, especially protecting Dak Prescott, who had a crazy bad year last year, throwing 15 interceptions. It just looked like every game he was due to throw an interception. He did so in the divisional round against the San Francisco 49ers, which you can say ultimately cost them from advancing to the NFC Championship game. But there were a lot of things there, of course. Just the Cowboys, just a lot of things go on with them that kind of makes it seem like they are cursed sometimes. But never know, it's Jerry's world. Anything's possible. We see types of curses, and not only curses, but streaks come to an end. So maybe the Cowboys can have some type of success this year, but we will see. But that's another team that's in the mix, of course, to be one of the best in the NFC. Vikings, I don't know about them. I mean, I expect them to make the playoffs, but I don't know. But the team in their division that I think particularly will be better and will win the division are the Detroit Lions. And a lot of people are saying that they're underrated going into this year. Not necessarily underrated, but a lot of people are picking them to win a division. I think that does not qualify them for being underrated. A lot of people see their come up. Last year they almost made the playoffs, and they eliminated the Green Bay Packers from grabbing a playoff spot last season in that final game of the regular season. So we'll see what goes on there with the Lions. Another team to talk about in that same division is the Green Bay Packers. Of course, Aaron Rodgers is now gone to New York, and it's now Jordan Love time after sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for the past 3 seasons. We'll see what Jordan Love has earned. He got a little contract extension from them in his offseason, so we'll see what Jordan Love does. I feel like he'll be able to be solid for them. They could make a wild card spot, but I'm not really expecting them to. If any 2 teams make the playoffs from that division, I expect it to be the Detroit Lions and Minnesota Vikings. The Chicago Bears will be better. Of course, Justin Fields has the potential to take a huge leap in year 3, similarly to what we saw last year with Jalen Hurts. So only time will tell there. They also have DJ Moore now, which they got in that trade. They traded the number 1 pick to the Carolina Panthers. And another team that is going to be interesting, of course, Brian Daboll winning Coach of the Year last year with the New York Giants. They did sign Daniel Jones to a 4-year contract extension, which I think was mind-boggling because he did have a better year last year, but he didn't go that crazy. Like, yes, okay, he had less interceptions and he wasn't as turnover prone as he has been in past seasons, but he only had 15 total touchdowns. Like, that's not that crazy, bro. 18 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Okay, that's solid, but like, bro, come on now, let's be honest. In his rookie year, he had 24 touchdowns. So, like, in 24 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, I can make the argument that that's a little bit better. His quarterback rating was 87.7 compared to 92.5 last year, but I mean, you can credit some of that success also that he had last year to Brian Daboll in his first year as a head coach. we saw that he was able to utilize and bring the best out of Josh Allen, who's continued to take leaps and bounds even without having Brian Daboll there. But Daniel Jones, he just has to show more for me. Now, his running has been impressive, I will say that for sure. He had over 700 rushing yards and 7 rushing touchdowns, but you have Saquon Barkley, who was on the same team, so you have to value him more, which is a conversation I have to talk about crucially right now. I'm glad I held off on making this video for a little while because Saquon Barkley, at the time when I was thinking about dropping this video, he was unsigned and he was thinking about just not showing up for training camp and anything like that. And they ended up reaching a contract for 1 year and up to $11 million in incentives. But next year he'll be a free agent, and there's no guarantee that they won't franchise tag him. So I really think that, talking about the running back position again, it really sucks how things are going. But it's the nature of the position which really does suck. They're going to run running backs out of their time from their rookie year on. Ironically, a month or two ago, something like that, me and my dad, we were talking about Bijan Robinson being drafted in Atlanta. And from his rookie year right now, I mean, his prime starts because we don't know how much they're going to run him. And of course, they have people like Drake London and Kyle Pitts over there in Atlanta, which I don't want to talk about too much about the Falcons because they're not going to contend anything respectfully. But they're going to run the crap out of Bijan Robinson. And I can see him for sure winning Rookie of the Year. A few years from now, when he's eligible for his contract extension, is he going to get paid? Like, that's the thing about the running back position right now, which really does suck. They're used so much, and they're used in versatile ways, not only out of the backfield running, but also as receiver a lot of times in the slot and things of that nature. So it really does suck how they are using, how Saquon Barkley is for sure easily the best player on the New York Giants, but he's not getting the money that he rightfully deserves. And it just does suck because running backs, they're just getting ran out, and by the time they're 27, 28 years old, they're ready to move on to the next potential running back that they can get from the draft. But long story short, I'm spending too much time on the New York Giants. I don't think that they'll do too much. They could make a wild card spot again. The NFC East was way better last year compared to previous seasons. As of course we know, the Philadelphia Eagles, they won the division and made the Super Bowl. But the Cowboys, they were really good as well. And then the Giants made the playoffs. And even the Washington Commanders, they were able to be competitive and almost qualified for a wild card spot, but they were a little bit short. And I want to talk about another division in the NFC South, talking about teams like the New Orleans Saints, the Atlanta Falcons again, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Carolina Panthers. And starting off with the Panthers right now, of course they have number 1 pick Bryce Young, who was undersized, but he is for sure having the most potential in the draft at the quarterback position. There's also people like CJ Stroud, who I think will be really good as well in Houston, which is a really good fit for him. From Houston, of course, I do not like the Texans. Let's get that clear. But I really do like CJ Stroud's game, and I think he'll be really good for the Texans in the future. But in Carolina, Bryce Young, he'll be really good for the Panthers. I think there's going to be a little adjustment period, but Frank Reich did name Bryce Young the starter of the Carolina Panthers from day one, so there's no mix-up about that. He's going to be starting. He's going to be able to fully experience his rookie year, and we'll see what happens there. It's going to be an adjustment, like I said. He's going to be playing with linemen who are taller than him noticeably, but he's able to get out the pocket, and his skills and his mobility as a pocket passer and just being able to get out the pocket is going to really be good for his game. Continuing to talk about the NFC South, I think that the winners in that division will be probably the New Orleans Saints, but that division really isn't that good. They do have Derek Carr now. Michael Thomas is going to be playing again this year and returning. We'll see if he's fully back to himself this year after being injured the past couple of seasons. Only time will tell with that. But I feel like with them and then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now having Baker Mayfield, which I don't know, he could improve and salvage himself and salvage his career, but I don't really expect too much out of them. Sorry to my dad because he's a Bucs fan, a lifelong Bucs fan. But I don't know, I expect the Saints to win that division, but really nothing too much in that division to expect. A couple more teams I want to talk about before closing out the video, and of course bringing up why this season will be unlike any other. Los Angeles Rams. This is a really interesting team. Of course they did win the Super Bowl in the 2021-22 season, but I don't know what to say about them. They traded really all their assets to get Matthew Stafford back in 2021, which obviously did pay off because they won a Super Bowl, but we're already starting to see the damaging effects of that blockbuster trade. Cooper Kupp was hurt last year, which was Matthew Stafford's number 1 go-to guy in 2021. And of course, they still have Aaron Donald on the defensive end, but who knows how longer he'll continue to play the game. After they won the Super Bowl back in 2022, there's questions about him retiring them. So I think it's really inevitable at some point. Of course, he is the best defensive player you can make the argument for still right now. But I mean, how much more do the Rams have? They traded Jalen Ramsey in this offseason. Their quarterback, Matthew Stafford, is 35 years old now, and he was injured last year, so time is ticking. There's also rumors about Sean McVay potentially retiring, but that ended up dying down. He's still going to be the coach for the Los Angeles Rams for years to come. But I don't know about the Los Angeles Rams. They really seem like they're stuck in a whole bunch of mid right now. Yes, a whole bunch of mid. I don't know what will go on with them. The NFC, of course, is wide open. They could potentially still make the playoffs. I do think that the Seahawks are better than them right now, which we'll talk about them in a second. And of course, the San Francisco 49ers from their division as well. And the Cardinals, I don't expect a lot from them this year. Of course, Kyler Murray, he's probably going to miss most of the season. So talking about the Seattle Seahawks real quick, I really like what they did in the draft, adding to what they already have, and a really good and surprising year to most people, but not in their locker room. Especially not to Geno Smith, as he really played great, being comeback player of the year last season. He drafted number 5 overall Devin Witherspoon with that Rams pick, of course, which is, like I said, already costing the Rams already. And they also drafted Ohio State wide receiver Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's really going to be able to help them. I feel like from day one, they already have Tyler Lockett as wide receiver and, of course, DK Metcalf. So he's only going to be able to add to the weapons for Pete Carroll and Geno Smith. So that's going to be really good for them. They could potentially make the playoffs again. I really think that they will as a wild card again, and don't even sleep on them because they could win a division. I mean, that's not really crazy to say. Of course, the 49ers, their defense is loaded. They could easily win it, but the Seattle Seahawks, they're going to be really good next year. I really expect that for sure. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. The Seattle Seahawks, they're going to be in the mix, I think, in the NFC. But in terms of talking about how the season will be unlike any other, I think it comes down to the parity of the NFL and just this overall being a unique season. Like I've mentioned on numerous occasions, this AFC is going to be so loaded. Of course, the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and the crew. Then you have, of course, their adversary and the team that made the 2021-22 Super Bowl in the AFC, the Cincinnati Bengals with Joe Burrow and company. And then also you have the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson on his fresh new contract with wide receivers like Odell Beckham Jr., returning Rashad Bateman, and new rookie Zay Flowers there. Then you have the Cleveland Browns with Deshaun Watson, who will be an interesting team. The Aaron Rodgers aspect of the New York Jets. The Miami Dolphins are in the mix. The Chargers, the Jaguars, even to an extent the Broncos. I mean, there's literally so many teams in the AFC, so the parity is insane. Stackedness, the uniqueness of the season is going to be crazy. And even in the NFC, of course, the Eagles are the favorites, but a team like the San Francisco 49ers can overtake them. The Dallas Cowboys truly aren't cursed. Then they could also, the Detroit Lions. I mean, it's going to be so lit in seeing how this season will go. As a fan, I'm really just fully loaded and invested in this season, and I know that y'all definitely are as well. So I think that the parity and just the uniqueness of this season is why this season will be unlike any other. So yeah, guys, let me know in the comments down below what you think about this upcoming 2023 NFL season. Who are some of your favorites in terms of who you think will win a Super Bowl? Some of your awards predictions and things of that nature. I may potentially make a video about that soon, so stay tuned. But just let me know what you think about this season in general upcoming, because it's going to be really good, guys. So yeah, that's the video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at SwaggyRuss, and also on TikTok at SwaggyRuss02 for cooking videos, shorts, content, and things of that nature. More videos are on the way. Like I said, guys, I'm back. I'm sorry for that little hiatus. Man, this season is about to be really good, guys. Hope you are doing well, being blessed. Hope your summer is going well. Y'all have a good one.